Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this 9th CoopCongo Dialogue that we organizing for the benefit of CoopCongo members and the Congolese community in general. Bonsoir et soyez les bienvenus à cette 9e session de CoopCongo que nous organisons pour les membres de CoopCongo et pour la communauté en général. Les sessions de CoopCongo, les sessions hebdomadaires sont ouvertes à tout le monde, à toute la communauté. Soyez les bienvenus. So welcome. These sessions on Thursdays are open to everyone. Today we are being led by our own member, Mr. Eric Malebe, who's going to share with us what they discovered in terms of the survey that the cooperative has run through their committee in our community. Donc, nous sommes très heureux aujourd'hui, ce soir, que M. Malebe, un des membres du comité d'épargne et de crédit et d'investissement, va partager les trouvailles que CoopCongo a entrepris avec leur comité sur les habitudes bancaires que nous avons en tant que Congolais. CoopCongo, c'est donc cette coopérative communautaire qui se veut la future banque des Congolais en Afrique du Sud et dans le monde. Et nous sommes contents que vous puissiez participer à cette session. Et plus encore, nous voulons que vous deveniez membre si vous ne l'êtes pas encore. So CoopCongo is that banking platform for the Congolese people in Southern Africa, and we want it to be the bank for the Congolese people in the world, including in Congo. So we're happy that you're here, but we also want you to make that further step of becoming a member. Without wasting time, I will then call upon Mr. Malebe to take over and explain to us what they found. And thank you all for coming tonight. Thanks. Bye. Mr. Malebe, up to you.
Merci, Chairman. Merci pour cette opportunité. I think these discussions are very important, and it's a good. This was a good survey because it helped us uncover some insights about our community. So, as member of the Loan Savings and Investment Committee, a lot of our time was spent around drafting policies for our future bank. And the question always came up, do we understand the people that will be banking with us? Do we understand our members? Do we understand our community? So we undertook the survey basically to try and get some insights into our attitudes around money, around banking in general, our psychology around how these things work, but also it was something to help us understand what kind of products or policies that we need to develop that will speak to the immediate needs of our community. So as part of that committee, this was very insightful, and I believe that this evening, hopefully it also gives everybody on this call something to think about in terms of banking in general and what a Congolese bank will look like. Okay, so let me just go to the next slide. Okay, so I think this is just more background around CoopCongo. And as the chair explained, CoopCongo has multiple committees. Basically, CoopCongo, we are the people that make the bank. You know, unlike a normal traditional bank where you expect everything to just be there and you banking. With in this environment, we are the ones that are building this bank together, and that's why a lot of the questions you would have seen on that survey is really about understanding your experience on money, but also asking you, would you be able to share your skills? Whichever skills you have, we believe that you can definitely use it to benefit your community. That's what we believe, and that's what really we're working towards. And I think that's just some more background. Just two disclaimers that I want to make about the survey before we get into it. And there's just two biases that will become apparent as you go through the survey. I think the first bias, and it's not negative, but the first bias is that the survey is really the result of who we shared it with in our networks. So, I have a particular network. Everyone in our community has their network, and they would have shared it with the people they know. So you will find that it may be skewed in some instances, particularly when you look at things like the demographics. It may be skewed based on those people that did a lot of the sharing and people that were responsive to the survey. So I think you just want to bear that in mind as we look at this. Um, with anything Congolese that I've been involved in the past, the challenge has always been data, getting enough data, getting clean data. So that's always a challenge that I've had in the past, and I think this is no different. But at least we've got some data to work with to help us drive whatever we want to achieve. The second bias that I picked up also in the results, you'll notice, is that this this survey relied on online access. So you had to be able to access it online through internet or mobile phone. You had to have some kind of data. Um, uh, Not everybody in our community has easy access to internet, so that also would have come apparent in the results. Especially towards the end, you'll see that people want a bank that's accessible easily online, but obviously that's a certain type of people that will have that facility. So that's also something to bear in mind. Okay, without further ado, let's go into the results. So the survey was split into two parts. We had English survey, we had a French survey for obvious reasons. The English survey had 250 responses, as you can see there. In total, we had 253 people that answered the survey, so English and French. So way the majority was mostly English. And again, this is one of those things we can say is because of who was responsive to the survey. 75% of the people completed all the questions, and that's the figures that you're seeing there on your screen. We had 15 questions. Some people skipped some questions. Some people were not comfortable with certain questions, but the vast majority responded all the questions. Okay. Uh, and I think also when it comes to surveys and data, it's important to remember that the data is what it is, the result is what it is. There's no manipulation of it, but we can infer certain things based on what results we got. And I think that's where the insights and the analysis come in. Okay, so the first question was very basic. Please tick male or female. 60% male, 40% female. That is what it is. But again, as I've disclaimed up front, this is not representative necessarily of the Congolese population in the world or in South Africa or even in CoopCongo. This is just basically the people that we would have shared it within our networks. And then we asked about the age brackets. So again, you'll see that the age brackets, the vast majority of the age brackets were really between the ages, I can say over 60%, 70% were between the ages of 18 and 44. So a younger demographic were responding to these to the English questions. And then we asked, what is your city of residence? So a vast majority was Johannesburg, but again, we had people from Pretoria, of course. We had people from all over South Africa. We had people from the US, people from the UK, people from Kinshasa, from Lubumbashi, that responded to the survey. So really, the first three questions were just about understanding the demographics of our community, and it gave us a good idea, roughly, of where CoopCongo is, where the people that are involved in it are, and where their network sits. Okay, the fourth question, would you bank with a community bank operated and owned by fellow Congolese? So this question was very important for us because the wording of that question is very loaded. It's operated and owned by Congolese. Okay, owned obviously by all of us. As I mentioned, we are the ones that are building this bank. It's not some elephant somewhere that's already big and we just go and put our money. We are actively building it, and in the past with CoopCongo, we've always known that there's a trust deficit. So a question like this is to examine the level of that trust deficit. So you'll see here, there's a big number that says, I'm not sure. And when, as a committee, when we were analyzing this, the responses, we almost interpreted this "I'm not sure" as the trust deficit, and then we even got people that said, "I definitely would not bank with a Congolese bank." So for me, that's a trust deficit already because even though you don't know anything about this bank, you don't know how it works, you don't know what a community bank is. Some people have never heard of that, but the fact that it's owned and operated by Congolese, for them, it's they definitely won't touch it. Having said that, the vast majority of the responses was positive. Most people say they definitely would or probably would bank with a Congolese bank, so over 60%. Okay. Are you willing to share your skills to develop the community bank? This was mostly positive. So over 80% are more than happy to share whatever skills they have to build the bank. So that's good news. Okay. We had two questions where we asked people to rank the most likely to the least likely. And basically, the two questions were, how are you currently saving your money? And people had different options. They could say, the first option is I keep my money at home, and the last option is I do not save. And if you look onto the right here, you'll see that the top result is I keep my money as cash at home. So we can say 50% of people chose this as their number one response. The second one was I have a separate fixed deposit account. And then I keep my savings in my transactional account. I make use of stokvels or likelemba, and I don't save, which came up last. And you see here, 75% of people say they don't save. 75% of people chose I don't save as their last option. So basically, everyone does some kind of saving. So when you look at a result like this, for example, I know in my personal life that a stokvel or likelemba is something that's popular in the Congolese community. It maybe speaks to some of the biases that I mentioned, that it scored so low. But I think at the end of the day, this gives us a good idea that most of our community are people that are keeping cash at home, or at the very least, have some kind of fixed deposit account where they're keeping that money. So it gives us some good ideas about what kind of products we need to look at for our community. The next question was, what type of savings account would you like to see in the Congolese community bank? And you'll notice here, again, it was a ranking question. So these answers can be a bit misleading because the ranking was obviously number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, and then other. The number 1 option you see here is a savings account that offer higher rates than most commercial banks. So over 50% of people chose this as their number 1 option. Okay, and I think this was it's an obvious one because obviously people will bank with you because you're offering a better rate. So I don't think there was any surprises here. When we were discussing this in a bit more detail as well, what we did notice was that number 2, a savings account with low fixed monthly bank charges. Number 3, a savings account with flexible bank charges. And number 4, a savings account with no bank charges. What is important here is to note that our community understands that there is some kind of charge that comes with banking, and I think that's important. So it's not a free lunch. You will have, there's a give and take involved, but if I am getting a higher return as compared to whatever, then I'm willing to pay whatever charges I need to because the return is worthwhile. So I think that's very important, especially in a community bank, because fees and bank charges will be a good way to sustain our bank. But obviously, we want to make sure that we have products that are worth paying fees for. If you get my analogy there. Okay. The next question: do you make use of loans? Very surprising. Most people said not at all, or very little, or moderate amount. So if you look at the values here, I can say almost 70, 80% are using either very little loans or not at all. This was tricky because obviously the data is what it is, but it could also be for different reasons. It could be that you don't make use of loans because you don't have access to loans for whatever reasons. You don't meet the profile of loans, or it could also be our psychology towards debt in general in our community, that loans are bad and we try to stay away from it. So there's a lot of things we can unpack from this question, but at a very high level, most of our community don't make use of loans or use a very little amount of loans. Is it easy for you to access loans? Now, this is a follow-up to that previous question, and you'll see here that even though we say we don't make use of loans, there's a lot of people here that say it's difficult or very difficult to get access to loans. So my understanding is, if you look at, do you make use of loans? Not at all. Is it easy for you to access loans? Some people are saying very difficult. It makes sense. So if you can't access loans, then, well, you're not going to use loans because you don't have access to it. So, is it an access thing, or is it a I don't believe in loans thing? And that's sort of something that we need to unpack as a bank, really. What type of loans would you ideally require from your lender? And you'll see here again, this was very well spread out. And it was also a ranking question, so the numbers may be a bit misleading. But the point here is that small businesses, 43% of people chose small business as their number 1 choice. So most people want a loan for small business, then personal loans, and then study loans. Now, what we know about the banking environment in South Africa is that getting a loan for a business is very difficult for South Africans. It's not an easy thing to get a business loan from a retail bank. So if you look at the 2 questions before this, there's sort of a clear pattern. You mostly want a business loan, but you're not going to be able to get any loan from the retail bank, so you don't make use of loans. It sort of it ties in together very well, and again, it's a challenge now for us as a committee and as the community to look at what we can do about this problem. Cool. What makes you happy with your bank? This is one of the things I said might be skewed a little bit, and I'll explain why. So you'll see here, number one, accessibility and good service. Number two, products that are suited to my needs. Number three, online access. Okay, and like-minded people came last. So I think number three, and I'm saying this because I've seen the results on the French side, and you'll also see it. But obviously, if you've got access to internet, online access is better way of banking. But if you don't, then you'll never select that as an option. But it's clear for me and from our committee that accessibility and good customer service is crucial. And then number two is having products that speak to the needs of our community. That there was no sort of competition there. What would you ideally prefer from your bank? You'll see again here, online access came second in terms of what people prefer from their bank, accessibility, products, and then online access. So accessibility is the most important thing. You want to be able to easily find your bank or easily transact with your bank when you need to. Number two, you want to have online access, and then you want to have products that speak to your needs. Obviously, online access, as I mentioned, it's very, very relative depending on the demographics and the type of people that are banking on your platform. Okay, would you like to get more information on the community bank? This one was pretty straightforward. Close to 80% want to be involved with the bank. So I think before I go to the French part, I think what we could conclude was that it was well received. It was very positive overall. We got a lot of good feedback from people, and the biggest thing we have to take away as a community is obviously the trust deficit. So things like I'm not sure, definitely not, yes, it was a small number, but it's also something that we know as a community that we have to build that trust in our community, in ourselves, and in our bank. You know, that's the only way a bank will survive is if there's a trust within the community. Okay. The next part was the French part. So I usually speak French between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. In the evening, it's not so great, but I'll try. So the French survey was the exact same questions, mais vous allez remarquer que il y a eu moins de réponses compared to the English. I think this is mainly because of the people that shared it or did not share the survey as much. The response rate was also slightly lower, so 68% of people finished the whole survey. Okay. The même question, the première question, what is your gender? 60% to 37, 40%. So presque la même chose avec the English one. Okay, the age. So this one was a little bit different. You'll see here that the French survey had a bit of an older demographic compared to the English. In fact, English, we had some people between 18 and 24. In French, there was no one between 18 and 24. So it was a much more mature demographic that responded to the French survey. Okay, in terms of residents, you also see there was more people from outside of Johannesburg and Pretoria. So you can also see very noticeable in the French survey. Okay. And then it was also, if I can say, it was a lot more positive than the English survey. All the results we got were very positive from the French. So that was also something to note. So you'll see here, oui, certainement, definitely people will bank with the Congolese bank. Probably, probablement, probably. uh, People would bank with the Congolese bank, and maybe. So peut-être was almost the same as the English, but you'll see that the English had peut-être, had no, and had definitely no. So you can see here that it's much less with the French. So mostly positive. Okay. Would you like to share your skills to develop the bank? Again, very positive. So I can say almost 80% said yes, they'll be able to, they'll like to help. Nobody said no, they would not help. So again, very positive. Okay. How do you save your money? Okay. I save my money in a transactional account. Again, the English one was mostly je garde mon argent en espace à la maison. That was much higher. The French one, not so much. It's more transactional accounts and fixed deposit. Um, this is a bit unclear why there would be a difference. It could be that people that are older maybe understand the banking system a little bit better and are comfortable to use the banking system to save their money in a bank account or in a transactional account, where younger people are more comfortable keeping the account somewhere else. So that's something to note. But also you'll see here the Likelemba came out last again in this question. And again, I think because I know that the Likelemba is used in our community, I can only say that this is maybe one of the biases around being able to access the information, etc. That maybe we did not capture the full picture of our community. Oh, and something to note here, I don't save was also quite high here compared to the English. Okay. Which type of savings account, which type of account or service that you'd like to see from a community bank? This was you rate from your highest to your lowest. So 60% of the respondents said it must be free. So this was very interesting because obviously with the English one we just saw, people are happy to pay for the service provided that they get a high interest rate. But in the French version, they actually would rather have a bank that's free, and a high interest rate is not the primary concern. It's third option. You know, it must be free or very close to free, basically, for someone to be involved with it. So I think maybe the psychology is different, and maybe also the demographics play a part. So I think that's something we need to study as a bank. Okay. Do you use loans? Again, very similar. No. So this was emphatic on English and French. We don't use loans, or we try not to use loans. As I explained, like it can be for different reasons. We don't have access, or we just have a negative view of loans in general. Okay, and you can see here again, c'est difficile. uh, and from c'est difficile all the way to actually very very difficult. It's it shows a picture that maybe we're not using loans because we can't, we don't have access to it. Okay. Quel type de crédit? What type of credit or services that you'd want to receive from your bank? Again, business loan came top, personal loan, and then I don't use any loans. Still quite high, but it's clear for me at least that business loans is something very popular. That it's a problem that we need to try and solve in our community, and then obviously personal loans. Okay, what are you happy about with your bank? Bon service, accessibilité des produits, and online access. Okay, so you'll see here again, not too different from the English one. Good service, accessibility, and products. That's the main thing, and that's the same. It's a similar results that we got from the English survey. So I think if we make our bank easy to access and we've got good products, we would have satisfied a big need in our community. Okay, and what do you prefer from your bank? Good service, accessibility, and product again. So I think interesting to note here that online access did not rank as high in the French as it did in the English. And again, that's like I keep saying, the bias. So English was much younger demographic, well, not much younger, but slightly younger demographic with access to internet, where French, a bit older demographic, may have access to internet, but maybe do not use that access to bank per se. So more comfortable with that human interaction when they do their banking. So, and I think that's okay because banks know that already in the real world. Some people go to the branch, some people use internet banking. That's fine. I think we just need to understand that as well in the context of our community. Okay. Do you want to get more information? So you'll see here much more positive than the English. So almost 90% said yes, they want to be involved. And yeah, that's it. Chair, I think what I can add to this is obviously very positive. We got a lot of insight. We got a lot of information that will help us as a committee. But I think it's also important that people get involved. You know, people say they want to get involved. Let's find out how they can get involved. You know, get in touch with people to share your skills. We're in need of skills. And also, this is a good opportunity for us to market ourselves because we know now what people want to see in a bank, or we have a good idea. And yeah, let's do the best that we can to meet those needs. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Malebe. We thank you so much for this very high level presentation, and we look forward to further insights so that we can serve our community. Merci beaucoup à votre comité et à tous ceux qui ont travaillé avec vous. Nous remercions la communauté entière pour avoir participé à cet exercice et nous sommes sûrs que nous aurons des interactions pour que nous puissions mettre à profit chacun dans la communauté, mettre à profit ce que nous avons comme connaissance pour que ça nous bénéficie dans la communauté. Comme M. Malebe l'a expliqué, il y a une bonne partie de la population congolaise qui n'a pas fait partie de cette recherche, mais nous pensons que dans le futur, on aura à imprimer des papiers pour que ça soit beaucoup plus accessible sur papier avec certaines personnes que si c'était en ligne ou bien de nos compatriotes n'ont pas accès. Merci. On va ouvrir. Je ne sais pas s'il y a des questions. Vous pouvez lever votre main. Vous pouvez, s'il y a des commentaires à faire, s'il y a des questions, if there are questions or comments to the committee, to CoopCongo, they are all welcome at this stage. And also, if you have any other comment that you want to make or any other question around CoopCongo, it is a dialogue every Thursday. So you are welcome to let us know or to interact with us. Merci beaucoup. Donc, si vous avez des questions, si vous avez une contribution à faire, nous ouvrons la plateforme pour que cela soit possible. Merci. Vous pouvez aussi écrire sur le chat si vous ne voulez pas parler. You can also write on the chat in case you are not able to speak. Thank you very much.
We have Rodrigue Minga. I think you can proceed.
Bonsoir, bonsoir à tout le monde. Bonsoir à tous les participants. Je voudrais ici commencer par remercier le comité qui a fait ce bon travail. C'est un bon essai pour un travail de recherche ou une enquête qu'ils ont fait. Mais aussi, par rapport à ça, je voulais peut-être relever quelques faiblesses qui n'ont pas peut-être surgi sur le commentaire de M. Eric. Et puis, il y a aussi peut-être, à mon avis, j'avais laissé volontairement que cette enquête se passe, mais j'avais déjà constaté une question qui manquait. Moi, j'ai dit, ben, voyons d'abord ce que ça va donner. Parce qu'en fin de compte, quand je vis l'enquête, c'est que les organisateurs n'ont pas pu penser à pouvoir donner une possibilité aux citoyens congolais de pouvoir, en dehors de tout ce que le comité a proposé, qu'est-ce que la population, qu'est-ce que les citoyens pensent qu'on a oublié et qu'ils peuvent proposer en termes de transactions, en termes d'intérêt et sa vision de ce qu'il entend par une banque qui travaille de proximité avec lui comme citoyen, avec d'autres aussi. Parce que ce que je veux relever, c'est que quand je regarde le résultat comme ils sont venus là, j'ai en fait l'impression que dans la communauté, il y a carrément des gens qui n'ont carrément pas la bonne information. Ça, c'est de 1. Il y a des gens qui ont l'information, mais qui sont résistants carrément. Pourquoi ils sont résistants? Parce qu'ils ont eu de mauvais souvenirs. Et par rapport à tous ces éléments que je suis en train de relever, ce que je voulais peut-être proposer, c'est que nous devons, dans nos échanges, avoir la clarté des discours, parce que nous devons, à chaque fois dans nos communautés, toujours relever le fait du pourquoi est-ce que telle ou telle autre situation n'a pas marché. Par exemple, aujourd'hui, au Congo, c'est l'affaire Biak. Liquidation, pas liquidation, les gens ont perdu de l'argent, les gens ont des blessures. La plupart du temps que les gens que moi je contactais, au moins 60% viennent de Biak, c'est-à-dire qu'ils ont des plaies récentes qui leur mettent très mal à l'aise et ils ne veulent même pas entendre parler de quelque chose aux banques congolais impliquées. Ils ne veulent pas, au fait. C'est pour ça que moi, je disais, pour arriver à corriger la méfiance, il faut commencer par dire la vérité. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Il faut que nous puissions corriger l'histoire avec la vérité. Il faut qu'on dise aux gens qu'est-ce qui s'est réellement passé, pourquoi ça n'a pas marché, pourquoi tel autre n'a pas marché. Et en tant que CoopCongo, nous devons avoir le maximum d'informations des autres établissements qui ont fonctionné comme CoopCongo et qui ont déçu les gens. Nous devons chercher, faire de recherches. Pourquoi est-ce que ces établissements ont déçu les autres, les citoyens? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Afin que nous puissions récupérer les âmes tordues, les âmes opprimées, pour que nous puissions dire la vérité. Parce qu'il n'y a rien qui peut réparer que la vérité. Il n'y a rien. Ça, c'est de un. De deux, j'avais une petite préoccupation ou une petite question au comité qui a organisé l'enquête. Je voulais peut-être, je voulais proposer ce qui suit. Je ne sais pas comment est-ce que les autres membres de la coopérative pourront réagir. Ma préoccupation est celle-ci. En dehors de la formule traditionnelle des banques, ce que je vais dire, c'est les comptes de transaction, le prêt bancaire, l'épargne, ainsi de suite. Est-ce que nous, en tant que coopérative, pouvons-nous formuler des produits qui ne vont que répondre à nos propres problèmes communautaires? Entre autres, je ne suis pas en train de voir 60% de la population congolaise prendre un prêt bancaire. Je ne suis pas en train de voir. Pourquoi? Un, la mauvaise information, ils n'ont pas la bonne information. Deux, la culture et l'environnement dans lesquels ils ont vécu. Parce que nous connaissons tous, ce n'est un secret de polichinelle. Dans notre culture, celui qui est endetté n'a pas de personnalité. Ça, nous le savons. Par contre, dans les autres cieux, celui qui est endetté est crédible. Ben, les deux logiques semblent marcher parce que quelqu'un qui n'a pas un travail rémunérateur, mais s'endette quand même, alors que dans les autres cieux, quelqu'un peut avoir un travail moins rémunérateur, il peut s'endetter, mais il peut payer pendant plus longtemps possible. Mais chez nous, ce n'est pas le cas. Et du coup, nous grandissons avec pour dire, la dette n'est pas bonne. Il ne faut même pas la contracter, il ne faut même pas la prendre. Et du coup, tous nos projets que nous avons, nous ne savons pas le réaliser par manque d'argent. Alors, comme Congo est là, c'est pour réunir les forces, c'est pour réunir les idées. Est-ce que pouvons-nous créer un produit qui finance les idées, les projets pour lesquels les citoyens seront directement impliqués? Entre autres, un citoyen qui veut par exemple faire un étang pour la pisciculture, qui n'a pas de moyens, qui n'a pas de maison pour mettre en gage, qui n'a pas de source de revenus pour garantir la coopérative. Comment l'on fait? Il a une idée, il a un projet. Comment est-ce que nous le finançons? Ce sont les grandes questions que nous devions nous poser. Ce sont peut-être le type de questions qui devaient au fait apparaître au fait dans l'enquête pour demander aux citoyens qu'est-ce que vous proposez en dehors de la formule traditionnelle que nous avions proposée. Qu'est-ce que vous laissez les citoyens parler pour mûrir des stratégies pour enfin le pécher. Donc, en quelque sorte, c'était mes quelques réflexions, mes quelques ajouts et préoccupations que j'avais. Je crois que je vais d'abord m'arrêter là pour peut-être donner aussi l'occasion aux autres de pouvoir intervenir.
Merci beaucoup. Monsieur Malébé, vous avez un commentaire là-dessus?
Oui, merci. Je pense surtout avec la deuxième question, and I'll try to respond in English.
Okay.
But your question is, we should have products that are tailored to the needs of our community. So banks have traditional products, and you want to see in this bank, in your community bank, a product that speaks to your direct need as a Congolese. And you would have liked to have seen those kind of questions in the survey. I agree with you. I think, let's bear in mind, our survey was not exhaustive. It was never going to be exhaustive. It had 15 questions that took 4 minutes to answer. So if you feel strongly about certain products, that's what the job of the committee is. The committee meets every week to discuss ideas about products, to discuss ideas about policy, etc. So I think the best way to do it would be to either join a committee or speak to someone in that committee and find a way to get involved. Because to expect us to have 1,000 options in a survey is unrealistic. And there are ways, if you know of a product that you believe will work in the community, there are ways for you to get involved to make sure that something like that happens. At the end of the day, the committee proposes things based on our understanding and what we've studied, and the community will decide. The community is, at the end of the day, the community is the one building this bank. It's not 10 people that are just sitting there making rules. You are the one that are building this. So I think don't let go of the power you have in shaping what we're trying to build here. The first question, I think, Chair, maybe you can help me with that.
About, pardon?
To say that we left out questions that we could have asked more questions or give people space to add more information about the survey and products, etc.
No, I think you really responded correctly. The committee has a mandate from the board, and the committee felt that as part of what they had to fulfill, you had to run a survey in a certain way. We have 5 committees, so each committee can run its own survey based on what they want to study and discover. So it was well done, well crafted by you. We know there are many, many, many other aspects that we need to study, but we cannot get all through surveys. We will not be running surveys all along. One thing I will say, which he mentioned about knowing how our other cooperatives did not make it well.
Yes.
I think this is what we're doing as part of CoopCongo. We learned about the failures here and there. The first thing is education, members' education, so that they know where we're going, what is the cooperative, what they should do, how to make it better. First thing, education. Second thing, education. Third thing, education. Then we have, as part of this education, we called a few weeks back people that are very, very knowledgeable in terms of cooperative. They've worked with the Reserve Bank. They've worked with cooperative associations to share with us. I think the person who asked the question, Dr. Minga, was probably not part of one of the sessions where we had 2 sessions actually, where we were really, really warned about what to watch, how to run it, and it boils down to members. Members run the cooperative for themselves, and they have to be alert, they have to understand. What we're doing as a board is to drive those activities that will empower members so that they make use of their cooperative in a way that will not fail. All the information is there. The 2 first people we invited actually only spoke about how to run a cooperative and what to avoid so that it gets into trouble. I think we have those recordings in our YouTube channel. Please visit the YouTube channel time to time, because even this dialogue is being broadcast on YouTube. I will stop there for now. I see Mama Justin wants to talk. Mama Itumba, you can talk. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I will first say thank you and congratulate the team for the commitment and the dedication. Well done. So I want just to add on what comments, let's say, to what Mr. Rodrigue Minga said, and also the survey by itself. My perspective is that it was the first survey conducted by CoopCongo, and it is not the last one. So we still have more. We have to do more. As a building bank, I think we will have to conduct more survey, and there are so many questions are still pending there that we have to look for answers. So this was just a first one and a first start, and yeah, we will take it from there. Mr. Minga's comments are well noted, and I will advise any member who has an idea or question that he feels that we should ask the community, he can post the question on the chat, on the WhatsApp group, so that for those who are not members yet, they can maybe, if they have someone who related to them who is already a member, they can send the question to that person and to post it on our chat, so that we collect all of those ideas and a question that we can incorporate in our future surveys. That was my comment.
Thank you very much. Any other comment, input, questions? We are left with 5 minutes. On a encore 5 minutes. S'il y a des questions, souvent c'est vers les 2 dernières minutes que les gens posent des questions.
Hi, come on.
Yeah, Dr. Bitumba, yes.
Okay, thank you. I would like to commend the committee for a well done survey. I think for me, they've done a job that is beyond reproach. I see this survey as a probing type of survey, and from what I've listened to, it gives me an idea, because if I look at a question, I'm putting it in my personal terms. I don't know how they express it, but a question that's related to the type of bank, community bank, people, the people who attended, who participated in the survey, wish to have. I could see 3 types of answers. The first one, a bank that have friendly people who could attend to them. 2, a bank that can offer easy online access so that there's no frustration. The third one, the most important for me, is the bank that could attend to their needs. And then, so we don't know exactly. For me, it's a way to a second step of survey. Now to approach those people who answer that they need a bank that could attend to they wish to have a bank that could attend to their needs. So that we ask them a question now to tell us what type of need do they wish to have a bank attend to it. Because we can't decide for them, we can't guess. They've opened up that they need a bank that can attend to their wishes, their problem. What type of problem they wish a bank, a community bank, could solve for them. That may be a second step of or stage of a survey now, to ask, to probe them what type of need they wish to have a community bank solve for them. But overall, I'm happy. It's a good, well-conducted survey, definitely. And I commend the committee for that.
Thank you very much. Also, if we have in the community people that want to help in terms of survey, within those questions there was another one asking for help. So knowledgeable people can help for us to get at a better level of servicing the community. Donc, ceux qui peuvent aider dans n'importe quel aspect. Vous avez vu, il y a Dr Minga qui a parlé de l'aspect de pouvoir obtenir un peu plus d'informations de la part de la communauté. Dr Bitumba, la même chose. Donc, ceux qui peuvent nous aider, des statisticiens ou des personnes, je crois que M. Maleb a bien indiqué les disclaimers. qu'il y avait au début de la présentation. Hein. Donc, ça, ce sont des réservations. Et s'il y a une assistance adéquate, nous pouvons donc avoir des enquêtes un peu plus engagées. Monsieur Gergy, vous pouvez parler, merci.
No. Hi guys, I just wanted to say thank you for the presentation today. It was really helpful. Survey gave a lot of insights. I do agree with what Mr. Rodriguez said. We do need to obviously open it up, but it was a primary, so we'll go to the secondary resource research and maybe have a focus group and obviously speak about the solutions. And I think that's what we're doing right now, which is basically having an open-minded, open space to have a conversation. So that usually follows a research program. From there, I'd just like to say that what I noted from the survey is in the younger population, which is the English speaking, more people would actually want the bank for SMEs. So we can probably deduce that we have a young generation that actually has ideas and would like to find solutions for the problems they face. And from the other side, the French speaking, which is the older generation, would probably see people that just want to kind of have comfortability, safety, a safety net for their money. So I think as a bank, our solutions maybe need to find the balance between a young and old environment. So basically speaking to the young and old, because the bank is supposed to be working for the future. So what we're creating is mostly supposed to be tailored for the younger people because it's supposed to be lasting longer in the product sense. And then the older people are actually supposed to be kind of the base. If you're going to create the product for the older people, if we have to be honest, from here, 100 years from here, we don't know if we'll be able to be speaking about the bank. So we just have to look at it like that, I think, as well. The young people really will have a longer vision for the bank because they'll be the ones that are actually on the ground here looking at things and understanding the online landscape that we're going into in the 21st century.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate. Just to add one thing about the BIAC situation, we have the VBS situation that happened here. Ça, ce sont des situations malheureuses qui se sont passées à BIAC et puis à VBS. Et nous en avions parlé dans le passé. So, the reasons of those failures are known. And for us to avoid them, every member must be participating in the avoidance of such failures. Every member. So we welcome any input for that, whether it's a CoopCongo member or a community member, and we will appreciate. For now, I think it will be time for us to really thank the team that put the survey together, that tried to fish whatever information that came from it. And next time, the same team will talk to us about another topic around savings now. That will be next week, Thursday. And I'm sure we'll be happy to share also some other insights on Thursday. À ce stade, je pense que nous avons consommé notre temps et je ne pense pas que je ne vois pas de questions dans le chat. Et à ce, c'est le moment de remercier l'équipe qui a pu travailler sur l'enquête. Et nous nous retrouverons donc le jeudi prochain où ils vont partager sur le domaine d'épargne. Merci beaucoup. À moins qu'il y ait Monsieur Malebe, any closing comment?
No, Chair. I think just to agree with you, thank you. And I think the overwhelming support, everybody's been positive. And yeah, we have to bear that in mind. It's our first survey. Like I said initially, my personal experience with anything Congolese has always been data. The data has always been a bit difficult to come across, reliable data especially. So as part of the committee, I think we want to keep working towards getting more and more data of our people, and that will help us build products, like people have mentioned, products that speak to our needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Un rappel très important, just really a big reminder, we are closing with the sale of our discounted shares on the 31st of October. We are closing with that. Nous sommes en train de terminer avec la vente de ce que nous avions appelé direct shares. Ce sont des parts qui étaient établies pour que nous puissions avoir des fonds dans la coopérative. Nous en avons déjà, donc ce n'est plus nécessaire de continuer à vendre nos parts à un prix réduit. Et cela sera, on va stopper, on va discontinuer, on va arrêter la vente des parts à prix réduit. So we are stopping the sales of reduced discounted shares on the 31st of October, le 31 octobre à minuit. We are stopping that. So if you would like to add your shares, remember it's minimum 4,000 shares that you need. Le minimum, c'est 4,000 parts qu'il faut acheter. So we are stopping with that. Whoever comes 1st of November will find it at 10 rand. On aura seulement un seul prix à partir du 1er novembre. 1st of November, one price, 10 rand per share. So please bear that in mind. With that, it's time to thank everybody for participating, and we need your support to build our future bank for the Congolese people in Southern Africa and the world. God bless you all. God bless our families and CoopCongo family. Thank you. Bonne soirée à tous et on se voit le jeudi prochain. Bye bye.
Merci. Bye bye.